But then today's presentation is by Bungeelink, and we've got Barrett Slade and Andrew Holmes presenting today, and we're excited. Bungeelink is a classroom response system polling technology, along with some other features that I'll let Andrew and Barrett introduce. But without further ado, I will turn the time over to them to introduce themselves a little bit further and then introduce you all to Bungeelink. And I'll go ahead and mute, but I'll be watching the chat and helping that way as best I can.
Okay, thank you, Mike. My name is Barrett Slade, and Andrew Holmes is also a co-host. You see him waving his hand. So just a little bit about us to begin with. We're both faculty members just like you are here at BYU, and maybe give you just a little history of how this came about and what our objectives are. So a few years ago, I was wanting to get to know my students a little better. I was using 3x5 cards that they were filling out a little information about them, and then I was cutting and snipping the old photos off of BYU AIM and trying to get to know them that way. And I ran into a faculty member here in the business school. We're both finance professors in the business school, and he was an information systems faculty member. And I said, hey, if you've got a student who would like a little project, I'd like to put together an app to get to know students better. And he said, hey, if I see someone, I'll send them your way. So he did. I got a knock on the door of a student who was finishing a master's degree in programming and website design, et cetera. And anyway, we started working on a feature, a kind of a flashcard feature. Andrew Holmes, another professor here in the finance department, I also dropped by the office one day, and I was telling him a little bit about what I'm doing. He said, that sounds great. It'd be nice if we had some online polling, real-time polling, so we could really get feedback and assess during the class. And I said, that's a great idea. Maybe before it was all over with, we said, hey, why don't we, you know, we're paying, I was paying out of pocket, and he said, to join me, he says, hey, let's see if we can do something that would be helpful. As you know, we've got Learning Suite, which is phenomenal. Its capabilities are vast, but it's fairly complex in a lot of ways, quite a learning curve in some dimensions, and didn't seem to have the issues with live polling and getting to know students that at least Andrew and I was wanting. So that's kind of the primary emphasis of an objective of Bungeelink. We have three objectives. One is we want it to be really simple, so that the time spent by faculty and students with the software isn't extensive. We want it to be secure, and we want it to be free to both faculty and students. There are again lots of products out there, but most of them charge, and all we wanted this to be totally free. So that's where we're at. It doesn't have everything that many of you would like to see, but we hope that the simplicity, as well as some of these features of getting to know your students, live polling on any platform, and others, hopefully maybe be a benefit to you. Now, we're not slick salesmen here, so bear with us as we kind of take you through this software. We will tell you that now we've got quite a few people who are using it. All the American Heritage is using it. So effectively, every student at BYU will, the undergraduates will use it. And then we have the large sections in the business school that are using it. And then we have quite a few other smaller sections, as well as professors at other universities that are starting to use it as well. But there's still a lot to go. And any feedback you can provide would be helpful, as long as we don't get it so complex and that we violate one of those primary objectives. So with that, I'm going to share my screen with you and go right to Bungeelink. You could go to Bungeelink as well. You could just bungeelink.com, and you would see something like this. And are you seeing that? Okay, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. No. Okay, so with this, So you'll see that the primary objectives there, live polling and name flashcards, are two things. We've also added a few things like file sharing, attendees list, being able to message them, and you'll see a few other things as we go along here. But our primary objective is live polling and name flashcards. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in here. You'll see this. And now, after I give a demonstration of the polling and flashcard feature, then I'll take you back and show you how easy it is to set up. Literally in 5 minutes, you can set up the class and start working things. That was one of our objectives. So this is my screen. I'm starting to set up a class for this fall semester, Finance 413, Real Estate Finance and Investment. So I click on that. You'll see I've set this class up with a little course information and some settings there. Again, I'll go back to those a little bit later, but let me just jump right to one of the primary objectives here. I'm going to go to profile questions. So as the faculty member can actually set up any questions they would like to their students to answer. So in this case, I've got 4 questions. I want to know a little bit about their interests and hobbies, if they've had any experience in this area, what are their plans after graduation, and then something unique that they'd feel comfortable sharing. And you can see we have labels over here on this side, as well as the actual questions here. We can rearrange those in any order, and we can add as many as we want and delete them as well. After, and so you set these up at the beginning of the course, and then I'll go ahead and go to flashcards. And this is Andrew Holmes right here, and the other co-founder of this. And this flashcard gives you the ability to get to know them. So now you see the questions as well as the answers. And we've got the name grayed out because I kind of wanted to get to know them, be able to call them by name and memorize their names. So I can reveal his name or hide the name. And then I can go on to the next student and answer the questions, reveal the name, hide the name. You get the idea. You can do this on a phone, you can do it on a laptop, you can do it on an iPad, anywhere you can get a web service, then you can start working through the flashcards and get to know your students. That's primarily the flashcard feature, which was something that is a primary goal of ours. Now, the other is the polling feature. And so the real-time polling. So you can see that if I click on now, I'm the administrator, and I can add folders here. I can create folders, and then I can create questions. So let me maybe just show you how easy it is to create a folder. I can create a folder here. Maybe we'll just call this test. And then the folders here, I can then add questions to that if I wanted to. So you'll see if I wanted to add a new poll over here, I click on the new poll, and I determine whether this is an instant or a public poll. And I'll talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. Or I can just say, do I want it graded or not? And what we offer multiple choice, short answer, and word clouds. Know that many other services out there maybe have 10 or 15 different types. Those, we're keeping it pretty simple. But I could just, you know, something like favorite city, and then what is your favorite city, and then I can add any of these that I want, and I just continue to add them, and then I can determine if there is an answer. I can determine, in this case, it's kind of just one of those fun things to know, but I could then determine what the correct answer was, and then save that poll. And then now you can see here it's favorite city. I can go ahead and move it up into that box. And so I have the favorite city here. Then I can actually go to that when it comes time to open up that poll. I can start the poll. and it's now available to the students enrolled in the class. Now, if I wanted to, let me go ahead and just end that poll. And now it's completed. It's over here on the completed side. I can sort active or completed polls. If I want to redo it, I can just move it over to pending again, and it's back where it was if I wanted to start it over again. I can also edit the poll, and in this case, maybe I want to make this a public poll. So I can go ahead and click this is a public poll. And as soon as I do that, it gives this number 4434. In fact, I would invite you to right now, if each of you want to, go to bungeelink.com on your phone or your iPad or a separate Windows. And I'm going to go ahead and save that poll. And now I'm going to start it. And if you'll go to Bungeelink, you'll see an instant polling feature right here. And just click on that instant poll and type in that number, 4434, and submit it. And then after that, I can say maybe New York City, and I can submit my response. And if I'll wait just about half a minute here, let you do the same.
Barrett,
Yes.
it may be worth noting that the big difference is if you're doing an instant or a public poll, we can see the results, but Bungeelink doesn't know who answered, and it doesn't store the results like it would if you were using it as part of the grading system. If you wanted to like take attendance, or I use it as a real low stakes participation thing in class, well, I'm using the other option, the in-class live polling, and then Bungeelink stores all the answers, records them, and has a report available to the students about how they're doing and those types of things.
That's correct. So the instant polling feature is, you walk into any group. I mean, it could be a church group, a family reunion, it could be anywhere. And you've set up the questions ahead of time and know the poll number, and you want some interaction immediately. That's the instant polling feature. But most of the time in like my class, I'm actually asking them questions or quizzing them for my students and wanting to grade that. So, let me go back to that favorite city. And in that case, I will go ahead and end that. And we'll see, we were having this morning just a little bug in this, and we'll see if we actually are able to have some results. And you can see we do have results here now. So we have 11 of you responded New York City, and 8 of you Salt Lake City. And if there was a correct answer, I would have noted that before. Well, I believe I did note that before. So you can see kind of how that works. Let me now go to.
Do you have a
quick question?
Oh, yes.
If I wanted to use this as a get to know you activity, and I actually want people to see what other people's answers are, is there a feature that allows me to do that?
Yes, it is. So let me take you to one here. So the results, here's the responses. Now that was an instant poll, so they're all anonymous. But if it was an actual, the students were responding, then you could actually, it would show their first and last name. Okay.
Thank you.
There's a couple of questions in the chat that I'll post for you, Barrett and Andrew.
Okay.
Darlene asked, can the polling be used for free answer questions? And then Jennifer asked, what does this look like for students? So, I mean, we kind of experienced that with the open polling. It's very similar, but maybe you can address those 2 questions.
Okay, let's do the free. Now I'm assuming in this that, let me put this back to pending again, start over with this. When I edit the poll, I can determine whether it's graded or not. Does that answer that?
I
for
think
response.
I think what they might be referring to, Barrett, is the short answer option. So it's a free answer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you change it to short answer, we don't grade short answer or word cloud. So you have to have multiple choice and check grading for it to be a graded poll. But it does store the results for short answer. So if you can determine how many characters they can use in a short answer response, and it will save it to the student's grade or the student's report, and you can download it and see what the answers were and all that sort of thing. There's no grading on it, but it does allow a free form response.
You'll also see that the admin, the faculty member, can determine the length of the response. So I set my default to 35 characters, but if you wanted a more extensive response, you could open that up, or if you want them to respond very succinctly, you could close that as well.
What is the maximum number, Barrett?
I don't know. Andrew, can you remember? I can't remember.
I don't remember. It's
Let's see if it gives us, or no, it doesn't.
try 400.
So we don't. I don't remember precisely the max response.
We ought to make a note to put a note there, though.
Yeah, that's right. To give you the indication. Okay, good point. Okay, now the other would be from the student's perspective. So let me go, and I'll now go out and go to. Let me just open a new Bungeelink. I'll then log in with a different email address. This is my Gmail address. And in this case, I'll go back to Bungeelink. So just, we're gonna kind of do a sidebar here and talk about what the student view is, but I need to add the student. So in member administration, I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna add myself, my Gmail address. And then when I go to Bungeelink back,
It was the next, yeah.
Let me just go back in real quick. I'm gonna log in. Now you'll see it showed up as one of the group invites. So as soon as I put my email address in there, then it invites me, and so that class is available, so I can join that class. Now here, while we're here, I'll just go ahead and show you how easy it is to set up the profile of a student. So we'll just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've just got some, we'll just whatever here, and then to upload a new photo even. I'll show you how to, here's my old class of 77 photo.
You were a handsome kid.
Yeah. So, okay, let's do that again. Let's see. I'm definitely not dress and grooming standard. Okay, and there I am, and then now this would be the student's view. Now that I'm in, so I'm a student, and I can see I can go to polls, and there's no open polls. If there was an open poll, then they would see it. And so why don't I do that? Why don't I go back to my faculty Bungeelink, where I logged in as a faculty member, and I'll go to polls. And then I will open up one of these favorite soda. Let's start that one. What is your favorite soda? And then I will go back to my polls here. I'll refresh this, and there it shows up now. It shows up that poll is open to me as a student, and I will say Sprite. And I'll go ahead and submit that, and it is submitted. And then now back as a faculty member, I could then close that poll, get it in the poll, and then I could see the results of that poll and chart We just had one D sprite. You kind of get an idea. So you can see that the students, with regards to the student view, they're able to see their open polls. They're able to see their completed polls. I'll refresh that. So they completed that favorite soda. Then they can see their stats. They can see how well they perform. Now, I didn't set that particular poll as a graded poll, but as they go through the course, they'll be able to see their total polls, how many they answered, how many total graded polls, how they did on the graded polls, etc. So this gives them the ability to kind of track how they're doing with polls or quiz questions. So hopefully, do we kind of have an idea as far as from the student view on polling?
I think that's
Mike,
good.
I'm not sure, Mike, if we have other questions, if we want to, in the chat.
Let me double check. No, right now we're good. Just both have thanked you. Oh, here's another question from Michael. Can poll questions be entered as PDFs instead of just typing in words?
I don't believe so, Andrew. That's a question I haven't come across.
It is just plain text, is it?
It's just plain text, I believe.
Okay.
And that one related item is that when you do enter the poll and you set up your class, when you start the next semester, you can move all your materials forward. Barrett will show you that when he starts a group here in just a second. But once you invest in, creating all the polls and materials and all that sort of stuff, you don't have to do it every semester. Once it's done, you can just roll that forward.
Right. Now, that's the point. The part with the PDF is quite intriguing. We haven't had that question, but I know that some of the other services out there will provide a photo or an illustration and then have the students respond to that. And that's something, Andrew, we probably ought to put on our punch list and talk to our programmer. I think that'd be a nice feature, but yeah. Okay. Mike, if there's no more questions, I'll continue on.
Let's see, it does, there's one more question. So, what does this look like during a live class? So I'm doing my PowerPoint and want to do a poll and show students the results. How do you do this? What does this look like?
Okay, so let's say that we'll put this one back to start over again. It's here, and I'll go ahead and open up the favorite soda one and start it. And while it's going, I can actually view the question, and it's got a timer on it. So let's say if I used, when we were in the classroom, I just put this question up right on, just show on the screen. And I'd say, okay, you've got 1 minute to answer this question. And I can see then how many have responded as well as the amount of time that has gone by. So that's one way to illustrate it. Is that okay on that, Mike? Are we okay with that?
I think so. Brian, does that? Lisa asked. One thing I do is place a blue Bungeelink connection to remind me of the related question on Bungeelink. I placed this link in my PowerPoint slide, so she was helping Brian there.
Okay.
So thanks,
Excellent.
Lisa.
Excellent. We know also that, there's a number of really excellent response programs out there that are kind of integrated right into PowerPoint. That's just something that we haven't, that's ground that we just haven't plowed or not sure that we will. We'll just have to think about that one. But we find, as far as in the classroom, I've had no problem just toggling over to Bungeelink and answering the questions. Then having the discussion, you can see the results. Of course, if I end this, then it'd come over here. Then we could talk about the results, the chart. Now in this case, we I had one response there, so that must have been Andrews. That was a Dr. Pepper man there. Anyway, then we can have the discussion of the topic. One of the things that we have found that's really helped us, it's helped me and my class, is just the continual monitoring and engaging. Sometimes with PowerPoint, students will kind of get a little lazy eyed or whatever. And if you're continually kind of popping them with interactive teaching and response, they just seem to be very engaged and right there with you. You're able to quickly assess, are they getting this? Are we going too slow, or we need to slow it down? Those are the things that I've really enjoyed with it. And the students I know that I did a response. We didn't tell them that we were the founders of this. And towards the end of the semester, I surveyed my class, and Andy did the same with his. And we asked them generally, to compare this with other response systems such as iClicker, et cetera. And Bungeelink just came out just so far ahead. They didn't have to buy anything. They didn't have to have a separate gizmo. They could do it on their phone. So that's kind of encouraging. They were not in the wine to make this end all, but it was encouraging that it appeared that the students enjoyed the interaction in the classroom. So with that, is there anything else that, Andrew, am I missing anything in the poll area?
If I can interject, you can use the polls a number of ways in the classroom, but what I do most of the time, at least if I'm not getting close to an exam, is I use the classroom neighbor model, meaning that the poll is launched for individuals, but they can work with the people sitting around them. And I don't know that it says anything good about me as an instructor, but the best learning that happens in my class is when I give them 2 minutes and there's 3 people and they're pointing at the screen and looking at their calculators and, they're saying, no, not that. And they're going back and forth. That peer-to-peer learning, I think really is valuable, at least in my classes. That I get very good feedback on that. So they answer as individuals, but I let them work with the people around them. And it's a low stakes thing for my classes, right? I mean, I record answers, that sort of stuff, but it's low stakes.
So another approach to that, Andrew, is like some people advocate like launching a poll, having them answer, then talk amongst themselves about what the right answer is, and then redo the poll and see how that changes. So you might want to run that with 2 separate, like a duplicate of the same poll, so you could compare the results before and after and see how discussing it together actually helped them increase and gravitate toward the correct answer and things like that. But
that's excellent. I love that.
I'll mute my mic. Don't worry.
No, that's great. I doubt we're going to take the entire time because we're pretty close. So let's now, if there's nothing else with regards to the polling feature. Oh, one last thing, I guess, is that at the end or anytime you can download your results. And so it provides essentially a CSV file that you can pull into Excel. It then has the name, the student ID, and the response to every question, whether they got it right or not. Gives some overall statistics as far as the percent correct or graded, the total number, which allows you to quickly then generate grades. Let me now go to some of the other features that we have on Bungeelink, and that is the materials tab. And the materials.
Before you get into that too deep, Barrett, I'm sorry to interrupt,
no problem.
but somebody had a question I think that's pertinent to now that might.
Okay.
Kenneth asked, I see you have to set up a group before you can do a poll or flashcards.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. In fact, maybe we'd be better off just going to the beginning, and let's do that. And then I'll show you at the end the materials and messaging features. They're not that unique, but let's just go to the part of setting up. In fact, we could do, well, I'll just take you to a member administration, I guess, and it would go to course info. And Andrew, if you think I need to start from the very beginning, but when you go to Bungeelink and you create an account, then it allows you to set up a group. And then with that group, it's just going to basically give you this screen. It's going to allow you to name the group, provide the organization, just as I mentioned at the very beginning, a brief description as well as a welcome. But then these are the things you'll set up. You'll say, uh, excuse me, regarding privacy settings. In my class, I just want only those who have been invited, just my class members. Andrew teaches 500 students in one of the core finance classes in the business school. And so he both invites them as well as opens it, or you could just open it to anyone. Anyone could search on the website in the search bar for your class and find it. You can also, who can view the member profiles. In my case, I want both the students to see each other's profiles as well as me. The members are allowed to, excuse me, can opt out if they don't feel comfortable with their profile. And I can go back to the student perspective and show you that. In fact, let me just do that. So a member over here in settings can either leave the group, or when they're setting up their profile, they can actually, when they first start, they can actually determine whether or not they want to their information to be shared. So let me now go back to where we were. And then the last one was face cards. One of the primary reasons I like Bungeelink is I want to get to know them. I find that not only are course ratings improve when you can call them by name, but I just feel more an affinity towards them, of wanting to teach them and getting to know them and having that back and forth throughout the semester. So I require that they put a contemporary photo. I can make it optional, or I can disable that. And then the member administration would be the next tab. So after I set up the basics of the course, then I can upload a file. So I can I just copied all the email addresses right from the BYU website from AIM, and I can upload that directly, and it will then populate everyone that's in the class. Or I can add them one at a time if I have a very small class and add their email address here. There again, I can search for a user, and this gives me a little information about who's registered and who's not. This feature is also one thing that the disadvantage of Bungeelink over Learning Suite in this regard is that this does require a little bit of management at the first couple weeks of the class. So one nice thing about Learning Suite is you know, if a student adds or drops, it's in real time. Learning Suite keeps track of that. In this case, I have to upload everyone who's added the class at the beginning, and then there might be a few that drop, and then so I'll wait until after the drop and go in and drop them. Or if someone adds it, they would need to let me know what their email address is, and then I add them. So there is a little bit of management that goes on up front. I found it to be, I have my TA in fact do it, so it's not too bad. This right here is a copy unregistered emails. If I have students who, let's say I get really close to the first day of class, and I send this out usually about a week before classes start, and invite them to go to Bungeelink and to set up their profile, tell them that they will be using it during the semester. And as I get real close to the first day of class, I find that some have still not done it. And rather than send out a blanket email to everyone, I can just copy those who haven't done it, and copy that to the clipboard, send them an email saying, hey, I see that you haven't registered the class yet on Bungeelink. Please do it before tomorrow or whatever it might be. You can also see that I can click the admin, and I can add TAs. So TAs have the full capability as a professor as well. Okay, so with that, then I'm trying to think. Oh, let's go now. Any questions, Mike, before I go to the last two features?
Yes, we have a couple of questions. One from Brian: can you download the student response as you request for the flashcards? So their profile questions.
No, we don't have that.
Okay, not downloadable.
In fact, Brian, you had mentioned to me, I know Brian, a good friend, and he had mentioned to me it'd be nice to have a feature where the faculty member or professor could also annotate that profile, right? To have a faculty ability to say, oh, you know, I saw Mary, I visited with her, I found also about this or something unique. And so that's something that's on our punch list as well. I think it's a real great suggestion. It's just something that we don't have in there now.
Okay.
Mike,
There was a question from Brian on how do you give admin access to TAs. You showed that. I don't know if it needs to
Yeah.
be,
Just right
you
there.
just come here and you add them and
Yeah, just add their email address.
using their email address. Okay. And then from Michael, will this have an LTI integration in the future?
So Mike, you can answer that question.
So. Yes, it will. I mean, that's something that's, in the new version, I wasn't able to see the launch URL for polls, but I know the functionality did exist, and it's, I believe it's still being worked on, and we've been in talks on how to make that happen effectively, both at the kind of overall results level, and then kind of grouping polls together and stuff like that. But that's still kind of that part of it's kind of still in the works, is it not, Barrett?
Yes, that's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. So it's something that
yes,
we want to do, but it's not everything that we would like it to be yet. So
yeah. So Michael, the answer to that is in the future, yes. And there is some limited LTI integration that's already been put in. So we can talk more about that offline if you want. All right, I think that gets us up to date on everything in the chat. So
okay.
I'll mute and let you.
Well, let's go ahead and then talk about the last two features. The one is the materials tab. So you can see I'm starting to set up my my folders. So you can just, as I showed you, same folder system that was in the polling, is that you can just add a folder or name a folder, one test or whatever, and create it. And then there it is, one test. And then you can drag and drop materials. So let me just show you. I'll just grab a file off my one of my classes here. And all you have to do is just drag it right over in there, and it adds it. And then this was a reading that I have. And so I just can go ahead and drag it right in there, and now it's there. So it's the folder management system is really easy to use. You just drag it over, drop it, move it to a folder, move your folders. This is something I know, and I'm not sure if Learning Suite now has changed that feature, but before it was always kind of a two-step process where you have to kind of upload files to Learning Suite and then bring them over into a contents folder, etc. This is just kind of, I think, fairly intuitive, pretty straightforward. Hope that it's helpful to people. And you'll see also that what I do, I have my syllabus, so I don't use Learning Suite hardly at all anymore. And it's got some fabulous features, but it's the learning curve and the time it takes. I keep my course very simple, so I just have a syllabus in this folder, as well as a one sheet on here's the schedule. I also have all my Zoom recordings. I just have one a Word document, you'll see here. And after a Zoom class, I get a link that I can share, and I just copy that link into this one document. So I just say, this is the date, this was the topic, and here's the link. So they can just go to one document, and they have all their links for their Zoom recordings if they want. And then of course I've just set it up. You can see that here I have different topics here and materials available. And I'm just starting to work through that. But this, that's the long and the short, I guess, with the materials tab, or the materials capability. And then the last one is the messaging. Once the students are, of course, are registered for the class or in Bungeelink, I can either send them just a message to everyone right here, or I can select different individuals. And then if I just want the individual, as soon as I click open client, it just goes right out to my Outlook or whatever email client you use. And and then it blinds the email addresses. So if you're sending it to everyone, they don't see everyone else's email addresses. But I just work through email that way. And I know that the many of these Canvas, Learning Suite, and others have some fabulous messaging capabilities. We just don't have it. It's pretty straightforward with just an email, essentially. And that's pretty much it. As Andrew, have I missed anything?
Why don't you just go to your dashboard and show the first 2 steps of setting up a group? I mean, you can set up a group and be entering polls in 2 minutes.
Yeah, so yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's let me go to dashboard here. And if I wanted to create a group, so I just go create a group here. This would just be the very first part. So I create a group, takes less than 5 minutes. So I can determine what group type it is. So, and then create a new group. So I've got an academic group here, and that's what most of us do. But the next, and then I just go ahead and here's the group. So I would go to name the group, whatever it is, and the organization and a brief history, as well as any message that I want. Go to next. You can see it now. It just basically steps us through the same radio buttons that we had before. Do I want this to be open? Do I want it to invitation only? I want to have everyone see each other's profiles, and I want a profile created. So there again, now I'm ready to go. I can add questions here. Here's a question there. What are your hobbies? And then I can label that hobbies and continue on. So that's setting it up is really just a few minutes to be up and running. Now, one thing that you may need to do if you want them to see your profile and have a separate profile, then you'd have to add your, kind of like I did, where I have my my Gmail email and then set it up that way. So we don't have a feature really for the faculty member to put in a photo and tell about themselves, and that's something we've thought about and may do in the future. But right now we kind of poor boy it with the adding a separate email address. So that's the long and the short of it. I don't know if there's other questions. We invite everyone who wants it. It's free. Hopefully we've kept it simple and secure.
There are a couple questions and comments. One from Lisa: is there a way to disable email between students on Bungeelink? So I'm assuming student to student messaging. And
yeah, so we don't have that feature. We don't have student to student messaging capability.
okay.
That is something that we've talked about, and others have raised that, but we don't have that capability so far.
Okay. The next, Brian said, love the profile flashcard feature and the polling feature. I would use Bungeelink for those two purposes while still using LS for the course management. Would that be confusing to students? Can you turn off the other tabs on the student end?
You just leave them. Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
That's what I do. I use Learning Suite for, lots of stuff. It's where my syllabus is, those types of things. If it's materials I'm going to use in class, I sometimes put them both places just because I have Bungeelink open and it's easy to access them. But I don't think, I teach these huge sections, 500 students at a time. And they know we're going to use Bungeelink in class. They also know that I have a functional Learning Suite site, and I haven't run into any problems with it. So the students are used to using a different, a second technology platform as a response system, be it iClicker or Top Hat or something like that. So I think using both of them works well for me anyway.
Yeah, and Brian, let me maybe jump in here too. Is that just recently have I gone to really almost entirely using Bungeelink. Previous semesters, I would just use the flashcards and the polling generally. The messaging capabilities in Learning Suite are so superior to what we can offer. And even the materials is great too, with the contents. And so students are so familiar with that I've found no problem with having them do Learning Suite and Bungeelink. I haven't gotten any negative feedback on that. Learning Suite just doesn't have much in the form of polling or nor in flashcards. And so I think they kind of understand that these are added features, but I don't think there'd be a problem with that.
Okay, we have one other question. Let's see, is there a way to cut and paste student emails from Learning Suite to Bungeelink?
What was that?
I'm not 100% sure. Now, let me maybe before I answer that question, one of the things that I've struggled with a little bit with Learning Suite and the email feature is that I can't ever find what I sent them. the emails I've sent them. It seems like it's an awkward system because I think it goes, Mike, you can clarify, it goes through a different server or whatever. But where this
It won't,
way,
yeah, it won't be in your sent file. You have to CC yourself on. If you send an email, you have to CC yourself. If you're using the internal messaging, there is a way to get to your sent messages there.
So that's another feature that I'm starting to use the Bungeelink because it just goes to my email client. The students are blinded, but I know, I can search it for anything because it goes into my sent folder. But I do know the messaging capability, I think, of Learning Suite. I don't know it very well, is far superior, meaning interaction. And maybe Andrew, you've used that. I'm sure Mike.
I use Learning Suite for messaging my students. I use Bungeelink basically for materials in class because I already have it open and it's there, face cards or flashcards, and then the main use I have is polling. And you have to remember, these students were born with a phone in their hand, so they're familiar with jumping around a little bit for the right platform.
Now, Mike, I'm not sure we answered that last question. What was that?
Yeah. Is there a way to kind of export the email list from Learning Suite? And I'm checking on that right now to see, because but let's get to another question. So Lisa had asked about the disabling emails between students on Bungeelink, and somebody, Michael, asked, to clarify on Lisa's questions, can students see each other's email addresses?
No.
They can only see the flashcard information. Is that right, Barrett?
That's correct. So I don't have the student view up, but they're only able to see the flashcard information. But we have thought about and would like, it would be nice to have the ability for students to message each other, right? That would be a nice feature, but just haven't done it.
And I don't think there is an export function for the emails from Learning Suite to Bungeelink yet. So
no, but that's something we can put on our development.
Yeah, you can download the email list and then just upload it directly into Bungeelink as the CSV file, and then that's how you get the invitations out. I guess it does take an extra step, but it's not particularly onerous.
Mike, any other?
Yes, there is. Eric asked, to invite students to Bungeelink, do you paste the students' emails in the Bungeelink site to invite them, or do you get a Bungeelink URL and email them through another platform?
Oh,
But
go ahead, Andrew.
as you see on the slide, you can upload an email list, right? So you download it from Learning Suite, and then it's on your computer. You upload it, all the emails come in, and that will automatically generate an invitation to the students. You can also add them one at a time, like Barrett showed. And there was another part to the question, and I can't remember what it was, but you don't have to do it one at a time. You can upload the entire. I mean, I have 800 students in 2 sections, so I use the invitation plus open group. So about a week before classes start, I upload files, and that is download my student roster and then upload it into Bungeelink so that we have all the names and email addresses, and they get an invitation. If they register later than that, then every Bungeelink group has a unique number, and that's in the syllabus. So they could just go to the, if they went to the dashboard, they could search either by my name or by Fin 201 or by the group number for the group, and then see the group. And since anyone can join, because I say invitation, but anybody anywhere in the world could also join. I don't have anything in my class that I think is particularly proprietary. So they can get in that way. They can either just do a search or they'll have an invitation. Most of them have the invitation, but then I'm working with larger numbers than a lot of you may be, with 800 students a semester.
Yeah.
Well, and I just so you're aware, what I've done at the beginning of each semester, I just go to Learning Suite and send them, to all the students, saying, please go to Bungeelink, and give them just a brief direction on what the expectations are, and send it out. And that's the way.
Yeah, I do that as well.
Okay, excellent. Eric said, I see it auto-generates an invite and sends it out to them automatically. So like when you put their email in, it sends them an invite, right?
It does not.
It does not.
It does not.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they have to.
When they log into Bungeelink,
They'll see that they've been invited to that group.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So hopefully that clarifies it for you, Eric, that you kind of need to direct them to go to Bungeelink, and then if you've put their email in, they'll see that they've been invited to that group. And if you have it by invite and open, they could search for the group. And yeah, there's the group invites.
They'll as soon as they log in, they'll have an invitation to join a group.
Yeah, so Eric, you're correct. You need to notify them in some other way that they need to go to Bungeelink and register and then join your group.
correct.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for that clarification. Any other questions?
Yeah.
We're pushing up against our end of the hour. But if we got any other questions, we got another minute or two, we could take a question before we have to wrap up.
Let me maybe just while people are posing a question or two, you'll see that in the groups here you can archive these classes. So in this case, here's my winter class of the same. I can archive that, and then if I want to, I can go back and restore that class. Here it was. I can restore it, and then it'll show back up, and I'll have full access to it. So the same, I don't know if we covered it very well in the polling, but all your old polls are maintained in a poll bank. So you can pull polls from previous semesters and add them. Of course, when you create a new course, it gives you the ability to pull in everything except the attendees from the previous course. So you're not having to replicate everything again. So that's a feature that we've that we're working on and have available. I don't know if there's anything else. Mike, any other questions?
Okay, well, there was a question, where is all the info stored? I assume it's on the web, so you have access to it only when you're online, right? And I think you kind of just answered
Yes.
that, right? That it's stored on the cloud through the Bungeelink website.
That's correct. So also, some of you may be interested in the bandwidth. So this last year, our programmer has gone to great lengths to increase the bandwidth, if you will. So we have now American Heritage, these big sections. Andrew's class, we have these 500, 600, 700 student courses they're using, and they're all, you know, they pose a question, they're all on their phones or whatever, and we've gone to great lengths to make sure that that's speedy, that's quick, and reliable. We're using Amazon servers, so we have it programmed in such a way that it basically spins up as many of these servers as it needs. So we hope that in the future there's no problem with bandwidth as far as no lag. It's if you're in a 30-person class or if you're in a 300-person class, it's real time, quick, and that's something that we've worked hard on. So.
Okay, excellent. All right, that's I'm showing that we're just a thank you, and Pamela's excited to incorporate it into her class, so that's great.
And Mike,
yeah,
if we can help, you're welcome to contact me or Barrett.
Okay.
You know the program pretty well, and also, you know, we've had about 14,000 different users go through it. So it's, you know, it's not like it's a brand new thing, but
right.
we're interested in co-development. So if somebody has some ideas about what they'd like to see it do, we'd be, you know, very much open to feedback about, you know, change this, fix this, add this. That would be great. So
Great.
Yeah, and be patient with us. We don't have some of these firms that have a back room with programmers. We've got one person, and we've got two faculty members who took their vow of poverty just like the rest of you. And so we're trying to make this free and cost effective and helpful to everyone, but it definitely doesn't do everything everyone would like, and we understand.
So Barrett and Andrew, are you willing to put your contact information in the chat for people? That was our next question. Also, if you don't get their contact information, you probably got an email from me about this session. You can contact me at the CTL, and I can put you in touch with Andy and Barrett.
Yeah, I'm happy to share mine. For some reason, Mike, I can't get to the chat. I don't know why.
Oh.
It's just bslade@byu.edu.
Okay.
If someone wants to enter that in, or
bslade@byu.edu.
I'm Andy
Okay.
at BYU.edu. So.
Okay, so those are there, and then you can always contact me as a backup.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks so much for letting us demo this for you, gang.
All right, thank you both to Barrett and Andrew, and we'll be back next week with SlideKick, and we'll hope to see you next week. And thanks again, Barrett and Andrew, for your time.
thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.
Mike, I'll go ahead.
Joel, yeah, we should have the recording of this up probably today or tomorrow.
That just will be on the Learn Anywhere. Hey,
Yeah.
Andy, do you have a second I could talk to you?
Sure.
So,
Okay, I've got to end the meeting to jump on another one, so you guys may want to connect offline. Well, let me make Andrew the host.
that'd be great.
And then I can jump out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
I just have a quick question.
I'll leave now. See you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
See ya.
Now that's a backdrop. You don't need a background. So, I love that.
Yeah, I don't play much these days. Too busy, but if I ever wanted to, I'm prepared.
Yeah, there's still an art value to it, right? There's the shape of a guitar is just gorgeous. I love guitars.
I agree. Do you play also?
I was once the world's worst guitarist, but I've fallen in the rankings. So,
Well, I commend any effort. Like I said, I just don't have time these days, but they're nice to look at.
that's right.
So, I just want to ask you, so I'm the BYU Online Program Administrator,
Mhm.
and a lot of our instructors are interested in using Bungeelink. And
Great.
I don't know if you'd be interested in partnering on building some trainings. I was hoping to take this recording, kind of build a training, but we may have more questions or want to build more in depth. Is that something you'd be interested in, and kind of what would work for you? I mean, should I contact you directly if we have questions, or I don't want to.
Well, yeah, I think if you have, if you know what you want, then that's great. Otherwise, we can sit down and sort of think through it. My baseline setting for this is, we could make some recordings on Zoom, upload them to a YouTube channel, and maybe have several short videos, 5 or so minutes on different topics. How to set up a group, how to start a poll, how to use an instant poll, those types of things. And we've actually intended to do that. So it's just, the punch list is fairly long. So but no, we'd be happy to help with that sort of thing. So.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I think what I'll do is I'll probably take this video and kind of build some intro ones and run them by you. And you're welcome. Anything we build, you're welcome to take it, post on your site, do whatever you need to if I can get it good enough that you're happy with it. But I just wanted to throw that out there. And I'll probably put together 1 or 2 based on this video that you have, run them by you, see what you think, because some of our instructors are interested in it. And we obviously can share this training, but it'd be nice to have some, links that they can go to right away, if you're okay with all that.
Oh, no, absolutely. You take this training, make clips of it, add to it, subtract from it. We'll make some new stuff, whatever it is. So our guess mission is to have people use it. I mean, that's so we want people where it's efficacious and all that sort of stuff, of course. But that's what we'd like to see is users out there that use it and where it makes a difference and creates engagement and those types of things.
Oh, so. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. I'll be in contact with you and I'll put a few things together and see what you think. But I appreciate the training and we appreciate the software, or I guess it's software, the web app, whatever you want to call it these days.
So anyway, all right. Hey, have a
You too. Thank you, Andy.
All right. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.